Your teenager walked through the front door. You barely looked up. 3 seconds later, you were back on your phone. You forgot that moment before dinner. Completely gone. They didn't. Here's the thing almost no parent realizes. Your teenager is recording. Not the words. 20 years from now, they won't remember what you said tonight. Not the reminder about the dishes. Not the lecture. But they will remember, with a strange, stubborn clarity, how it felt to be near you. The look on your face when they walked in. The tone under your voice. The 5 seconds you didn't look up. And the strangest part? The list of what stays is almost never the stuff you'd guess. So here's what we're doing. Counting down the 10 things your teenager will carry for the rest of their life. Some of them will make you proud. One of them, number 3, is something almost every parent does without noticing, and it leaves a mark that can last for decades. We'll get there. First, the quick reason any of this lasts. The teenage brain isn't a smaller adult brain. It's a different machine. The emotional part is already running at full power, but the part that's supposed to calm it down, the part that says, relax, it's not a big deal, is still years from finished. Lawrence Steinberg at Temple University spent his career mapping this. In a teenager, the emotional volume is turned all the way up, so teenagers feel ordinary moments more intensely than you do. And here's the part that matters. Whatever feels intense is exactly what the brain decides to keep. Think of it like a master tape. Most of your life records over itself, gone by morning. But these years don't. Ask a 60-year-old to recall their whole life, and the memories don't spread out evenly. They cluster hard around the teens and 20s. Memory researchers have a name for it, the reminiscence bump. That's the master tape, and your teenager is recording onto it. Tonight. Number 10. It's fine, I'm not mad. Calm words, but the voice underneath, flat, heavy, a door quietly closing. Here's what got saved. Not the sentence, the tone. Because kids don't file away vocabulary, they file the music under the words. Warmth, or the absence of it. You thought you covered it. You said the right words. But you can't say your way out of a tone. It's like a photographer's flash. It doesn't fire for the sentence, it fires for the feeling. And whatever's lit in that half second is the picture that stays. But tone is quiet next to number 9, because number 9 walks in the door with you every single day. Every parent has more than one version of themselves, and your teenager knows all of them. There's the version that comes home light, and there's the version that comes home already tired, already tense, carrying a day that had nothing to do with them. And here's what they learn to do about it. They learn to read the weather before they say a word. Ask any teenager and they'll tell you. They can hear which version of you walked in from the sound of the keys in the door. That's not them being dramatic, that's them being smart. When you depend on someone, you learn to forecast them. You have to. So the mood you carry through that door isn't just your mood. Over 1,000 ordinary evenings, it becomes part of what home feels like to them, which leads to something harder. Because it's not only what happens with them, it's what they hear when they're not even in the room. The phone call in the next room. You thought the door was closed enough. He's just going through a phase. She's impossible lately. I don't know what to do with him anymore. They heard it. And this one lands differently than anything you say to their face. Because when you talk to them, they can push back, defend themselves. But when they overhear you talking about them, to your partner, a friend, their grandparent, there's no argument to make. They just take it as the truth. The real version. What you actually think when you're not choosing your words for them. One tired complaint you forgot 10 minutes later can quietly become the sentence a kid carries for years. This is how they really see me. And nothing gets kept longer than the next one. Promises. Kept and broken. The night you were exhausted and almost canceled and showed up anyway. They kept that. And the time you said, I promise, and then life happened and you forgot. They kept that too, maybe tighter. There's a reason the broken one weighs more. Psychologists have a blunt phrase for one of the most repeated findings in the field. Bad is stronger than good. A letdown hits harder and stays longer than a win of the exact same size. It's not fair, it's just old wiring. For most of human history, forgetting a danger could get you killed. So the brain learned to hold the disappointments tighter than the comforts. So picture it like this. A kept promise is written in pencil. A broken one is written in permanent marker. That doesn't mean you'll never let them down. You will. Everyone does. There's an antidote, and it's coming at number 2. It changes the whole tape. But first, take a breath with me, because I want to tell you about a man named David. David is 47. He runs a company. He's given talks to hundreds of people. Ask him about his childhood, and most of it is a blur. He can't tell you what his dad got him for his 10th birthday. He couldn't name a single conversation from middle school if you paid him. But there's one thing he remembers in perfect detail. He was 14. It was late. He'd done something stupid, and he was bracing for it. And his father, instead of the explosion David expected, just reached over, turned the radio down and said, "Rough one, huh? We'll figure it out tomorrow." That's it. 11 words, 30 years ago. David has forgotten almost everything else, but he can still hear the exact tone of those 11 words. That's what we're actually talking about, not the big events, the small, unguarded moments. The ones you'd never circle on a calendar are often the ones that stay. So let me ask you something before we keep going. If you've ever finished an argument with your teenager and thought, "Did I just make that worse?" This channel is for you. Every week we take the real science of the teenage brain and turn it into something you can use tonight. No shame, no perfect parent guilt trip, just what's actually going on in there and what to do with it. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, where were we? Number 6. Here's one you'd never think to worry about. Your teenager is watching how you treat the people who aren't your kid. The friend who came over and you barely acknowledged. The one you were warm to. The waiter you were short with. The way you spoke to their other parent. Because your teenager is doing quiet math. They're figuring out who you are when there's nothing in it for you. How you treat people with less power than you. Whether the kindness they get is who you are, or just a performance you put on for them. And when a friend feels genuinely welcome in your home, your kid stands a little taller. That's their world, and you respected it. When a friend feels like an inconvenience, they file that too. Not as a fact about the friend, as a fact about you. Which brings us to a moment every parent dreads. The moment they embarrass you. Something happens in public. They say the wrong thing. They mess up in front of other people. They embarrass you. And in that half second, your teenager isn't watching the room. They're watching you. Because there's one question firing in their chest. And it's the oldest question there is. Are you with me, or are you with them? Did your face flash with embarrassment, inside with the crowd? Or did you stay steady, stay theirs, and sort it out later in private? They will not remember what they did wrong. That fades fast. What stays is whether, in the most exposed moment of their week, they were alone, or they had you. And there's one kind of moment that gets burned in harder than any other. The day it all goes wrong. The failing grade, the dented car, the call from school, the mess they were terrified to tell you about. Whatever you did in the first 10 seconds of hearing it, that tends to get kept in high definition. Researchers have a name for this kind of memory. They call them flashbulb memories. The moments so charged that the brain seems to capture them like a photo. The room, the light, the exact words, frozen. Now, I want to be careful here. No study proves your one reaction defines your child. That's not how any of this works. But the same mechanism that burns in a photograph may help explain why a teenager holds on to how their parent met them in a crisis, long after the crisis itself is forgotten. Meet it with fury. That can be the photo. Meet it with, okay, we'll figure this out. That can be the photo. And the photo tends to become a story they tell themselves. When things go wrong, my parent is safe. Or the opposite. Hold that thought. It matters in about 90 seconds. Because now we're at number 3. The one almost every parent does and doesn't remember doing. Here's the cruelest part of the whole list. The sentence you said in a hot, exhausted, end-of-your-rope moment, the one you forgot by morning. Your teenager can sometimes quote back to you, word for word, 10 years later. Why can't you be more like your sister? Sometimes I just need a break from you. You're the reason this house is so stressful. You didn't mean it. You'd take it back in a heartbeat. You probably don't even remember saying it. But remember, bad is stronger than good. Say something cutting in a charged moment, and you've hit the 2 things the brain is most likely to keep at once: maximum emotion and permanent marker. This isn't your teenager holding a grudge. It's not a choice they're making. It's just the kind of moment the brain is built to hang on to. This is the heaviest beat in this video, so stay with me, because here's the turn. There's an antidote, and it might be the single most powerful thing on this entire list. Number 2. Most parents think the goal is to never rupture, never lose their temper, never say the wrong thing. That's impossible, and it was never the point, because the memory that lasts isn't the rupture. It's what came after. When you go back, when you say, I was wrong, and it wasn't about you, and I'm sorry, something shifts on that master tape. The moment doesn't get saved as my parent hurt me. It gets saved as my parent hurt me and then came back. And that second version is an entirely different story. It's the story of a bond that can break and repair, which might be the most valuable thing a person ever learns about love. Think of it like an edit room. You can't delete the footage you already shot. The angry scene is on the tape, but you always get to shoot the next scene, and a repair, laid down right after, becomes the part they remember. You can't erase the marker, but you can always write the next line. Which leaves number 1. Go all the way back to the front door, the kid who won't remember your words, only how it felt. Here's the feeling that outlasts all the others, the moment they felt truly seen. Not praised, not fixed, not managed, seen. The time you notice the thing they didn't say out loud. The moment you put the phone all the way down and let them talk about something you didn't care about at all, because they cared about it. The time you caught that they were off and you didn't interrogate, you just stayed close. That's not neediness. Being truly seen by the person you depend on is one of the deepest things a human being is built to want. And when your teenager gets it, it goes onto the tape in gold. Decades from now, when they've forgotten nearly everything else, that's the feeling that's likely to still be there. It may be the most permanent thing you ever give them. But before you go trying to fix all of this in one perfect evening, one morning, here's what you have to understand about every memory on this list. They feel like photographs, but they're not. Researchers who study these vivid, certain, I remember it exactly, memories found something unsettling. The confidence is total. The accuracy often isn't. People misremember the details of even their most burned-in moments while feeling completely sure, which means your teenager isn't keeping a perfect recording of you. They're keeping a story their emotional brain wrote in the moment about what your face, your tone, and your silence meant. And that's the warning. But it's also the door. Because if what they keep is a story about who you are, then the most important thing you can do isn't to be a flawless parent. Nobody remembers a flawless parent because nobody has one. It's to keep becoming, over and over, the kind of person their story is about. The one who stayed steady, the one who came back, the one who put the phone down. Do that often enough, and that becomes the story, even on the nights you get it wrong. So, back to the front door, your teenager, walking in, Not saying much. Recording. You can't go back and re-record the old tape. The tone you used last Tuesday, the promise you dropped last month, those are already on there. Let them go. But the tape is still running. Right now. Tonight. The next look on your face when they walk in. The next thing you say when it all goes wrong. The next time you choose to put the phone down. That part's still blank. That part is yours. So the question that actually matters isn't what have they already saved. It's what are you recording next? Because there's a specific moment, quiet, easy to miss, when a teenager decides you're no longer safe to talk to. It doesn't happen all at once. It happens in a single conversation. And most parents never see it coming. That's the next one. I'll see you there.